I'm Saina Bashir from Islamabad, Pakistan.
And my name is Emmanuel Yagon from Nairobi, Kenya.
We are delighted to welcome you all here for our Global Moment Gallery exhibition with our fellow photojournalists from Kazakhstan, Austria, Cambodia, Serbia, and Paraguay.
And as you know, we are a group of 73 photojournalists from 55 countries spanning 16 time zones. We were individually selected by the US Embassy in each of our respective home countries.
We are participants in a special initiative called the Global Moment in Time, part of the US Department of State International Visitor Leadership Program, or the IVLP. The IVLP is now in its 82nd year. Our group of photojournalists is just one of the 3 Global Moment in Time projects.
Now, the Global Moment in Time is the first ever IVLP with programming spanning over a year. Now, we had a virtual component in the fall of 2021, and we'll be coming to the US for an in-person program in just a few days. In between has been our bridge program, allowing us to continue to grow and deepen our relationships with one another and a wider audience.
These Global Moment Gallery exhibitions are part of that opportunity that connect us with each other through our work. We welcome you here. And now for some housekeeping rules, Bridge Builders, Brittany and Bonnie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel and Saina. In addition to being our moderator for today's Global Moment Gallery, Saina is a Pakistani freelance photojournalist currently based in Islamabad, Pakistan. Her work focuses on documenting migration, gender, healthcare, and climate change. And Emmanuel is a communicator and passionate storyteller with a bias towards smartphone storytelling. He's from Nairobi, Kenya, and is the co-founder and communications director at Mobile Journalism Africa. We are so glad to have you both on the team. I am Brittany Link, and along with my colleague Bonnie Beard, we have had the great pleasure of being the bridge builders over the course of the year for this impressive group of photojournalists. In this time, we've experienced 11 Global Moment Galleries with 44 presenters and 11 virtual cultural activities. We've talked to a Native American photojournalist. We've gone on a photographic journey with the journalists focused on the art of noticing. And we recently went on a virtual DC tour to get ready for their in-person trip. We are especially looking forward to welcoming them in person in 3 days. A quick note that this will be our final Global Moment Gallery.
Morning.
At our first Global Moment Gallery last December, the world was a very different place. And 9 months before that, in March of 2021, it was even more different as the world was locking down. Today, we're going to step back to those early days of life during the pandemic, starting with video footage from Kazakhstan of those very first days when journalists around the globe were covering this novel virus. They're in harm's way without the protection and information we have today. We will see their photos and videos from the front lines and hear the stories behind them. To our journalists and photojournalists, we continue to honor your work and your sacrifice. As we start today, I will also mention that though this is a U.S. Department of State sponsored program, the views expressed by the IVLP participants in this exhibit are their own and not necessarily those of the U.S. government. Over to you, Bonnie.
Thanks, Britt. It is really such an honor to be here. It has been such an honor to be on this journey. And it is so exciting to wake up in the morning and just connect with everybody around the globe. It's really amazing. I want to welcome all of you. I know that we've got people from our community-based members, the CBMs around the country. We've got national programmers here, agency programmers, Department of State folks, and even a few friends and family that are supporting this effort. So the word of IVLP and what it accomplishes is being spread, and we really welcome you. Just a couple of quick housekeeping issues. If you haven't already, be sure to put your name in the in your box so we can see who you are, and maybe your country or city from where you're coming. That would be great. So you know this is being recorded. It will be available on the website as it is a public event. For questions and answers, we're going to let the two moderators, Emmanuel and Sana, handle that. They have been great doing this for the year, and we are so excited that they're doing this one for us. And for everyone part of the program, be sure to stay on at the end. We'll have an opportunity to answer some of your myriad of questions because you're all arriving this week. My God, it's been a year. I can't believe it. We're excited. So stick around and thank you so much. Beaming over to, I believe, Pakistan, Sana.
I'd like to introduce you all to Daniyar, who is a photojournalist at Kazakhstan's leading independent digital media, VLAST. He has been with VLAST since 2013, and in that time has created over 100 photo reports covering political events, environmental issues, and key stories in other regions of Kazakhstan. He is also a video editor and sound editor for VLAST podcast. Welcome, Daniyar.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Sana. Very happy to be here with all of you guys, with all of great photographers from all over the world. So just a quick introduction. I just made this video at the beginning of May in 2020, when the quarantine conditions were slightly eased for Kazakhstanis. And I shot this on my mobile phone. So some shops in Almaty city and hairdressers opened up, and I shot the city on the way from my home to the office, which where I haven't been for almost 2 months. And yeah, to be honest, I didn't recognize my city, Almaty. It was like I don't know, zombie city. But you could see some few people's walking around and delivery. So yes, you may watch the video. Thank you.
Daniyar, that was fantastic. And you know, covering COVID-19 myself in Pakistan, I could relate to so much of the footage that we've just seen. So what was your sentiment like when you were out there filming this and you had just started seeing people? How did you feel, and how was the general sentiment? Were people happy to be back outside? Yeah, what was it like for you? And then also, what was it like to film with your mobile phone? Because that's very exciting.
Well, first of all, the air was clean. The city was quiet. Because you know it was during the lunchtime afternoon. Usually it's very busy, and you can tell that people were kind of surprised or maybe afraid. I don't know. They were confused. They were walking with the masks, and especially in the buses, people were looking at each other, sitting far from each other. But yeah, so I just decided to film with my camera, so I will not scare everyone, because I could see other people filming as well. So yeah, but it was weird, you know.
I know. No, mobile phones are sometimes great in these situations because they don't attract a lot of attention. Are there any tips that you would like to share with everyone when you're filming with your phone, with your mobile phone, when you're doing video? Are there any tips you'd like to share?
I don't really have any tips, but just I just film everything, because you know mobile phones nowadays they have very good stabilization, so you can just walk and film. Maybe you can maybe not to stand too long and film someone, because in I mean I don't know in other countries how it works, but in Almaty they will like start saying something like why you filming, stop filming or something. But yeah, you just film everything and then you montage them together. Yeah, add some dramatic music for more effect.
Excellent. Danny has his hand raised. Danny, did you have a question?
Yes, hold on. Right there. How long was the lockdown in your city or in your country?
It was almost like more than 2 months. Yeah, so 2 months, but then it wasn't like straight away, you know, people were walking around or something, but some of the shops were still closed. Some of them were working only for delivery. But yeah, 2 months, 3 months.
The video is 3 minutes long. How much time did you record on your phone to get the 3 minutes video?
So basically to get from my home to the office, it takes me about an hour. So I was filming from my home, then a little bit from the bus, but then actually on the way back to home. So yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that interesting video there, Daniyar. And it's interesting, we can have a whole conversation around filming using your phone. But I think we will continue with that conversation later. I want us to go all the way to Austria now to meet Roland. Roland is, started work as a photojournalist while still in university, capturing photos for the Austria press agency, a newswire based in Vienna. While freelancing, he worked for various publications such as The Guardian, Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, as well as the European Press Photo Agency. Since 2007, Roland has been a staff photographer and photo editor with APA and now works exclusively with APA and their affiliated international partners, European Press Photo Agency and Agence France Press. Welcome, Roland, to make your presentation, and kindly remember to set your timer.
Okay, I have a timer. Well, thank you very much for having me. So what you're seeing here is at the beginning of the pandemic, I chose this like sort of as a locator it was an anniversary, a 75-year anniversary of the Republic, and there was like a tiny military parade, and so I'm showing that, and soldiers are wearing masks in the colors of the Austrian flag. So I'm showing this to locate where we are, and also to show you that my country can sometimes be a little bit comical without necessarily meaning to. At the beginning of the pandemic and way into it too, testing was a big issue. And what you're seeing here is testing at a university. These people are trying to get to a lecture, and before they could do so, they had to have a rapid test taken. And also testing in schools was a big thing. So there could be an overview of what's going on with the pandemic. And these gargling tests were introduced, where you would gargle with like a saline solution and then have that analyzed. What was also always a big thing were the mutations of the virus. And I took a couple pictures at a laboratory where they're doing the sequencing of the RNA of the virus. And what you see here, the red marks are individual amino acids that have mutated. And that was kind of a challenge to get a detailed and complicated work into images. And the last one from this one, these are the machines where the sequencing is happening. They don't look like much, basically like Xerox machines or dishwashers, but fortunately they had colorful lighting. I do cover a lot of the political side of things. And what I'm showing here is the Austrian Vice Chancellor, also still at the beginning of the pandemic, having slight troubles with his mask yet. This is the Austrian Chancellor at the time, who was obviously, as in every country, the government was heavily criticized for the management of the pandemic. And shortly after this was taken, he actually had to resign, mostly for alleged corruption scandals. Basically, almost about a year ago, no, 2 years ago, at the end of 2020, the evening before another lockdown, this isn't exactly COVID related, but it was after a very difficult year and right before another lockdown. And that's when a terrorist attack happened downtown Vienna. And it was kind of like, that was a big shock. These kinds of things don't really happen here. And after all that's happened before, that was a very deep cut into our society. And yeah, this is the last picture. I thought I'd end on a more positive note. This was a presentation of a vaccination campaign for school children. And I particularly like this picture because this kid, I think she was like 9 years old or so, lots of cameras around, and she was just cool as a polar bear and totally unfazed. Yeah, and that is that.
Thank you so much for that, Roland. We see a lot of intersectionality in the issues that, as a result of the pandemic. Thank you so much for sharing your pictures. For those who are following us, those who are just joining us, welcome to this exhibition. And there will be a link that will be posted in the chat section right now for the images that have been shared by Roland. I'm interested, Roland, in knowing what's different from the time during the pandemic, taking photos during the pandemic of whatever subjects that you cover, and now what has changed? What would you say?
Well, what has changed? We are still in the middle of the pandemic. The numbers aren't looking so great here, and so those changes are still. I mean, life has changed, and of course our work has changed.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start. Everything about how we work has changed. We're spending a lot less time at the newsroom. We're being a lot more careful, of course. And obviously the subjects we cover are very much a lot of it is COVID related. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And I think somebody has just said, Martha from Paraguay said, that the pandemic is not only about COVID, but also about corruption. And like I said, there are several other factors, other things that are happening, during this pandemic, and they all need to be covered. I'll allow Nimo from Cameroon to ask his question. The question that he asked was, what would you say is the greatest challenge you face while doing coverage during this period?
Well, I do cover a lot of politics, and when you cover politics, you are confronted with basically a lot of PR, very well organized and well funded PR, and that actually, there was a lot of communication going on from government side and from ministries and whatnot, and sort of not falling into their trap, so to say, to still sort of have a critical view and to sort of look behind what they present you, and they did that a lot. That was like a seriously intense media work being done, and sort of not getting under the wheels of that, and still keeping a clear head, and still being like, sort
all
of
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Roland. I think we'll take more questions at the end of the presentation by all the presenters. Over to you, Saina.
I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Socheata Hean is a freelance multimedia journalist with the Voice of America Khmer in Phnom Penh. She began her photojournalism profession as an intern with Voice of America Khmer in 2013 when Cambodia was in the midst of national elections. Socheata has been at the front line of reporting and photojournalism, from election campaigns to protests, from Cambodian lifestyle stories to the current pandemic. Socheata is interested in new approaches in photojournalism and wants to create a more fair and equitable society using her photo lens. It's great to have you here, Socheata.
Thank you. To begin with, I just want to mention one thing. It's like COVID-19 is quite challenging for Cambodian in particular, because Cambodia doesn't have a good health system, and technology is not something outstanding in Cambodia. So when pandemic hit, it's quite challenging, both health system and technology. So so the first photo is about education. This one is when it's come to at the end of pandemic crisis. So it's where we start to resume our education. So you can see by the classroom, it's all the dash and they sing. So it's just very dirty classroom because we've been like postponed the education like for 2 years. And then here is the checklist. When students want to go to school, they have to have to show their vaccination card, and then wear mask and spray their hand with alcohol. So that it's the procedure that students need to do it before they can enter the school or classroom. But it's a good move that at least students could resume their education in class. And then this one happened. This is the first day that Cambodia rolled out the vaccination. So it happened early February in 2021. So Cambodia is one of the country that has been listed as a quite success country that rolled out vaccination and as well as handle COVID-19, because unlike other countries around the world, Cambodia has no serious controversial issues regarding goal for vaccination. It's like most of Cambodian people are happy to get their shot. So it's like everyone signed up for vaccine. So that's why we got like up to 90% of almost targeted Cambodian got their vaccine. And this photo is happened on March 2021. So it's when Cambodia in the middle of outbreak. It's happened next door to my house. So when I take this photo, it's a bit overwhelming and frustration. And I took this photo using a very long zoom lens. So I actually took it from the stand, from my house. But it feel like the virus is getting closer and closer. This one is another emotional shot because you can see the white flag behind. It's somehow it's called crocodile flag in Cambodia context. It represents a funeral here. So it feels like a bit overwhelming when you see like people keep dying from this virus. And unlike normal time, we cannot celebrate the funeral. It's like they silently test the virus and then bring the body to do some small little thing about funeral, but it's not just a big deal like when before COVID-19. I love this shot in particular because it still happened during COVID-19, but I love that the teacher sacrificed. It's like she has to bring a kid to school and then she has to balance between teaching students and also handle her motherhood. So I really love this shot. It's very impressive. This photo is happened during Cambodia under lockdown. So there is some kind of restriction in terms of travel. So there is only some particular people that can travel during this time. And we need some kind of paper that need to show authority that, oh, we need to travel from this to there. Otherwise, they would not allow us to travel around. This one is not celebrate funeral of one of Cambodian prince. He is the famous one of the famous political actor actually. So it's like there is more than 1,000 people who participate in this funeral in particular. And you can see it's Cambodian flag there. And then this is relative to the previous photo, it's funeral. So he died in France, and then they have to fly his body to Cambodia. And then we have Cambodia had managed to celebrate a proper funeral, but with proper mask and then COVID-19 testing that have like not more procedure. This one is like on that day, it's like during the outbreak, and then the ambulance keep coming back and forth. You can hear this siren of the ambulance entire day, and then you can see this ambulance entire day going back and forth, transport people who test positive to the treatment center. That's all what I have covered during COVID-19 back then. Thank you.
Socheata, these were some beautiful, beautiful images, and I'm sure it must have been also very challenging to get them, because it was just, generally a very challenging time, and especially to be a photographer. I also wanted to ask you, during COVID, since you're a freelance journalist, did you see an increase in your work, or did you feel that you were getting less assignments because of COVID-19? Was the volume of your work impacted at all?
Yes, actually, it's the assignment and work has actually increased because not many people can go out and take a photo, but our work was interrupted by the procedure that have applied from the top, because they require us to have some kind of proper permission and paper that show that we need to we get permission to cover this and that. And then for a particular event, we will need to request a special press card that we can attend those events. And then it's come to need to do a COVID-19 test all the time. So the demand of work is increased, but the actual work that we can produce has been decreased because of those a lot of extra procedure comparing to pre-COVID-19.
Yes, overall challenging times, right? Well, Emmanuel will introduce our next guest.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we go all the way to Serbia now, where we meet Filip, who started his career as a staff photojournalist in Tanjug News Agency, the biggest news agency in the Balkans. There, he photographed major events and stories, from government protocols to formal international visits to events in the volatile Kosovo region, wherever they erupted. Since 2020, Filip has been working as a staff photojournalist for the news portal Nova. He covers daily news as well as stories relating to societal neglect from the government. With Nova, he went to Azerbaijan and Armenia to cover the war over the Nagorno-Karabakh region, and briefly experienced being a war photographer. Most of his work career, he has covered the latest and most up-to-date news. Over to you, Filip. We are glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Okay, so I will start with the pics from the start of the pandemic. Serbia's government started with instilling fear into people, so they didn't know exactly how to manage it. So they put army officers to patrol the streets, so we could take pictures of them and they could be seen, to give seriousness to the situation. Yeah, I'll show the pics. There's a little bit more pics than the last presenters. This is the army going past a health worker. Yeah. And this is the Belgrade's fair. They erected a COVID hospital. The army came and made the COVID hospital from the Belgrade's largest fair, largest building probably. And yeah, when this picture was published, it really impacted the public opinion. It's overnight, it became serious, when this picture was published, and from the colleagues of mine that were also, These are the flags lowered half to honor the dead from COVID. The queue lines were very large. This is the queue lines for testing for people with symptoms. And the protest happened when there was a drop in COVID, new COVID cases, but it's happened that the government happened to lie. It was found by an independent investigative journalist that they lowered the COVID cases than they were actually real, So, and all of that, all of the mismanagement with the queue lines and army, and the government wasn't really truthful with the people. So they took it to the streets when the president announced new measures, and they became very violent. This is a policeman with a mask here. I'll just scroll through them. There's a bit more. Yeah, they lasted for about 5 nights, and the government eased the new. They didn't implement the new rules they wanted. They wanted a new lockdown. The first lockdown lasted for about 2 or 3 months. Then there was a month in between where people could go out. When they announced the new lockdowns, yeah, this is what happened. And yeah, this is I went to actually Nagorno-Karabakh to cover the Azerbaijani and Armenian war. And in contrast to all of this, with masks and stuff, people here were, yeah, not really thinking about COVID. They were too busy thinking about the bombs. Yeah. This is from the Armenian side. I didn't went to Azerbaijani side. And I stayed like maybe a few days there. The only thing that behind here, it was her house. The only place there was the press center. You're going into the press center, and you put on a mask, but when you go out, you put on a vest. So it was a bit crazy. There's a guy defending his porch. Yeah. The Caucasus Mountains on the Azerbaijani side, and a soldier, yeah. And the dead. And these are only the last few pics from features from daily life in Belgrade during the lockdowns. This is a marketplace, and yeah, all the food was covered and stuff. Guy giving newspapers. The queue lines for the vaccines. The army was the first to take the vaccines. And people were clapping every night during the lockdowns for the health workers at 8 when the lockdown starts. And yeah, everybody has a picture like this, but it's the first vaccine that came. It's the Pfizer vaccine. And yeah, I also wanted to end on the more positive note here. So yeah, thank you very much.
These are such incredible images, Philip. And like, we said when we started, there are several things that were happening during the pandemic, and it chose really, interesting subjects to cover, from the demonstrations to the war, in Azerbaijan and Armenia. How, from just working day to day, from shooting, say, the demonstration and then going to the war on the other end and just coming back to the hospitals. What effect did that have on you, and how were you sort of taking care of yourself even while you went out there to be in the front lines to inform people?
Yeah, well, I used the basic measures, having a mask and cleaning my hands every time going inside the buildings and after work, and yeah, in between stuff. And but all of these events did impact me. It was probably the first time I took pictures of very violent protests, and definitely the first time in a war zone. It was very stressful, you know, especially the protests, where you don't know what you can get hit by, and there's a lot of people moving. But yeah, I was spared. I didn't get COVID even in these situations like this, you know. It was massive amounts of people, you know. But yeah, only the basic measures were taken. But I always say it was like, maybe because we are all the time outside, maybe we got a better immunity, you know.
All right, interesting. I think we have Ava in Washington, DC with a question. Would you want to ask the question? Kindly just unmute. Also, if you have a question for any of the presenters, just use the raise hand function and we'll let you ask that question.
Can you hear me? I'm just making
Yes.
sure. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Philip, for sharing your photographs. I just wanted to ask, at this point in the pandemic, what photo stories are you currently working on, or are you currently most interested in capturing at this point?
Well, from my own perspective, is like, I'm interested in people that here in Serbia, it's a victory over COVID, but there is almost 1,000 people sick, newer sick every day, you know, but nobody is wearing masks. Nobody is acting like nothing nothing happened, you know. So I'm pretty interested in, yeah, taking daily life pics and maybe putting them together with the pics from the pandemic, and maybe reminding the people that we're still not out and they should get vaccinated as soon as possible, so that this thing stops, you know. So this is still a real problem all around the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Philip, for the powerful images that you've shared and for responding to the questions. We still have more questions at the end of this presentation, but I want us to now allow Saina to take us to the final presenter. Over to you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Our final presenter is Jara, who is a videographer, camera operator, photo and video editor. He currently works at GEN, a media outlet of the National Media Group. Daniyar has 16 years of experience as a camera operator and 10 years directing short documentaries for journalism media. Welcome, Daniyar.
Hey guys, how are you? Well, I'm pleased to be here. First of all, I gotta say that I feel the pressure because the season finale is on my hands. I think I'm the last presenter of the last meeting, so.
La publicación sobre el caso de esta señora se volvió casi viral en redes. Por un momento me dije, seguro alguien ya la llamó para ayudar. La verdad, me sorprendió cuando la llamé y me dijo que fui el primero en hacerlo.
Dentro de 2 meses les llevo de vuelta para la segunda dosis.
Como de 15 años, ¿veis?
La publicación sobre el caso de esta señora se volvió casi viral en redes. Por un momento me dije, seguro alguien ya la llamó para ayudar. La verdad, me sorprendió cuando la llamé y me dijo que fui el primero en hacerlo.
Dentro de 2 meses les llevo de vuelta para la segunda dosis.
Como de 15 años, ¿veis?
Well, but to put a contest on it, when it was shot in April 2021. Why did I do it? We're going through a rough time, and it appeared to me that it was a story that could have lifted us up. Why? Because this old woman, she went to a hospital to get the vaccine, but bureaucracy was pretty tough on everybody, especially on people like her. She was 75, and she was moving around town using the public transportation. Well, she got to the hospital and she didn't get the vaccine because for some reason she wasn't able to, or at least bureaucracy, at least one letter get the vaccine. So one of a coworker of mine posted the story on Twitter, and when she did that, everybody was hoping that someone will contact her to help her. And so we figured out, or at least I figured out, that it would be nice to document this story, because it was a story of people helping each other. So that happened. A man named Julio, he contacted her so he could help her get to her next appointment, which was due on next day. And when I contact Julio, I speak with him. I also I spoke with him and spoke also with Filomena, who's the old lady, if they will be, they would agree to share their story. So they did. And that's what I documented, and that's 14 minutes long. And I can go over some other things. Well, the production was pretty simple. 4 or 5 people involved in the team. That was pretty much it. The team is 2 camera operators, me as one of them, and we also managed to the sound equipment. 2 screenwriters helping me to shape the script, because I had very clear what I wanted to tell, but it wasn't that easy to put it together. I'll go over the next one. The equipment, we use a Sony A7 3rd generation, also Sony F5, a GoPro, a Mavic drone, and a running stabilizer. Lenses, Rocking on Cinema. I love those lenses, they're pretty good. And Sony G series. Now audio, those were the mics. Well, the purpose of shooting this documentary was usually for Paraguay was very low rate of vaccination at that time, and people were feeling really like we were feeling down about it, because at that time just 2% of the population got the vaccine, and everybody was afraid. I think fear, it is a powerful word, it's a powerful feeling, and that was around. Like everybody was, when am I gonna get the vaccine? When am I gonna have this protection? Everybody was scared. And for myself, since the pandemic started, I just couldn't put together any work that I really like, and I saw this as an opportunity for me to prove myself that I also can give back something to people who has been helping me or helping other people, and sharing this story, I think was important for me too. And what's the story about? The documentary theme: when government bureaucracy won't deliver, the only way to get what we need is to help each other. And that's what Julio did with this old lady. And I also wanted to put this, and the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. I really like that one because first of all, always you think about yourself, right? And it's important to find that gift that you have, and then you just got to give it away, because I think that's the whole purpose of being around. Like, well, that's it.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience, your thoughts. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. And we are going to start taking in questions. So you could raise your hand, or you could send us your questions in the chat box. Hi, Yusuf. Go ahead.
Yes, my question is, what emotion were you having when you were filming the dead bodies? How were you feeling, especially when you return back home to join your family after seeing all these COVID dead bodies? What was the emotion? What was the impact on your life when you return home?
Well, I think back in that time, all of us, the like, fear was the emotion, like, all the time, because restriction has just been eased back in that time, but like in April, and to get around town, to get around the city or anywhere, you just didn't know what to expect, you know? Was it enough with the mask? Was it enough, like, washing your hands? Was it enough cleaning your hands with alcohol? I don't know. And to go to a place where there's a lot of people, especially a hospital, fear gets a bit worse, right? And I think that's pretty much it. And all the time I was in that feeling, I guess.
Do you ever feel like you were sick?
Yeah. To get sick, and besides that is you could see in people's eyes and faces, not faces because the masks were all the time, but in the eyes, you just could see a look of we're not really sure of what we're doing and where we're heading, right?
Thank you so much, Yusuf. Thank you so much for your question. We have another question from Marta. Since the lockdown, she wants to know the massive death due to COVID, the mask wearing, the risks of photo shooting in the hostile environment. What changes have you seen, and what changes have you put in practice in terms of health, safety, and does it impact your job in terms of the way you see things differently and how you manage your camera?
Well, here at the newsroom, the impact was huge, because most of us we were working from home, and some of us will get to come to the newsroom, but it was weird. Like, this is a huge place. I'll try to show. Well, it's a huge place. This is a lot of people working behind me, and to see this place empty, well, just that is pretty astonishing, right? And for camera work during that time, I don't know about the equipment but especially with, you know, you all guys know it is hard to be around taking pictures or documenting a situation that's not nice, or it's not pleasant. And especially in this time, it was, you feel like you're part of that hostile environment, because you're documenting something that probably people doesn't want to be there, and you're taking pictures of it, and that's pretty tough.
Thank you so much, Danny. And I'd also like to invite all of our speakers, whoever wants to take a question, please go for it. I'd like to invite everyone. Lavi also has a question. He has his hand raised.
Yeah, hello. First and foremost, I want to say thanks to each and every person here. I got to see real incredible work, and especially done during challenging times. So I'm Ernest Lavi Lincoln. I am from the Republic of Liberia. We all know what COVID is, and I got the invite through the IVLP or Facebook page. So looking at everything, I just wanted to ask Socheata specifically to the
Yes,
first.
please.
Yes, to the first photo that was showed. You know, when I looked at it, it was even more emotional with the bars and looking at these children through the window bars. I was thinking, was it that you were kind of taking your own safety measure, or the school themselves had decided that you do a distance shot to have, because I mean everyone was trying to take precaution, because that photo looked really emotional to me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So actually, I have had a shot both outside and inside the classroom, but I chose that one in particular because I feel like it quite well captured the moment, in particular when I see all the dust on the desk and table. So I feel like it says something like the school has been suspended for years and then now they go back to school. That's why I chose that shot in particular. But I have some other photo that I can walk inside the classroom and then take it.
Yes, it's good. It's just, I mean, when looking at it, it pierces the heart, just straight to the heart.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. That's it from me.
Thank you for that question, Larry. And remember, this is the point where we ask questions to all the presenters. If you have a question, just raise your hand in there. I want to probably just ask the first question, considering all the challenges that have been there since the beginning of the pandemic, and the numbers vary right now. And the current situation varies from country to country, but as a photographer, as a storyteller, what are the lessons that you have learned, from the beginning of the pandemic? We'll start with you, Socheata, again.
Can you ask the question again? I sometimes miss some words. So
yeah, so I'm asking, what lesson have you learned from documenting the pandemic? Something that probably you weren't doing before, but now it's part of what you do, part of your day-to-day activities as you go about filming or taking photos.
I personally feel like before COVID-19, we somehow had more access to everywhere, anytime. But during COVID-19, it somehow restrict us in terms of get access to some particular place that I feel like reflect back before COVID-19, that I feel like, I should have taken all these photos more, in particular in some private place. Because when COVID-19 hit, it's like they apply more restriction that we even harder than before to get all those photos.
Okay, who wants to go next?
We have, does anyone else want to take the same question?
I just wanted to agree with Socheata that I'll just take more pictures, because I think back in the days I could have taken even more, because when I see some pictures, you would think like you pass something and you would think that's not maybe important, but then pandemic happened and then you think, oh, that picture would have been a great because with all these lockdowns and everything. So yeah, I take more pictures now.
Yeah. What I could say is that COVID has pushed everything to the limits, right? Has put us on a test for everyone. And from my perspective and from my experience, from what I've seen, I think the community, I probably concept will be doing community or making community, building community. That's what's helped a lot of people. In the time with probably, I think people could be more selfish, and sometimes you think just about yourself and just about your social media, your pictures you take for you and your selfies and what you're doing, share your food, where you've been traveling, share your pets, and just me, a lot of me. And this COVID had changed. I think that had changed forever. And that showed us that building community is probably the best way, right?
Definitely. Roland and then Philip.
I thought what was different and what could be a lesson, and I think that would have been actually my answer before too, that it's a lot different to work as a journalist when you cannot detach yourself from the subject or from what you're covering, actually, because it concerns you as much as everyone else around you. And in a way, it makes it's a lot more personal, because usually when you cover something, you detach yourself. It's something that happens and you are not a part of it. But in this case, you're part of it. And that makes it very different.
Finally, Philip, do you have a lesson that we can take from that you have taken from the pandemic?
Clean your hands. I'm kidding. In all seriousness, yeah, maybe taking pictures of the things that seem every day and normal, maybe working around that a bit more, because if another situation like this hits, you can compare the two, and maybe continue with that, from this pandemic, and looking into the future then. But I think the world didn't, at least here in Serbia, I don't know, but my thoughts are that this wasn't taken very seriously, and this kind of thing will repeat itself, but so the pictures should show the ruthlessness of a pandemic like this,
Thank you so much, everyone. We have Marta's raised her hand. Thank you so much for waiting for so long. Yeah, go ahead, Marta.
For Socheata, I love your pictures.
Thank you.
I have a question. I love this mother teacher women. And is that their common, that kind of scene, or is a unique way to show the women empowering due to the pandemic? Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. So usually I don't see that kind of scene before. So when I in my personal experience, when I go to school, I rarely see female teacher bring her kid to school. But that photo in particular is unique to me because I only witnessed that once time, so I can't help but take a photo of that. And I feel like it's like I did talk to the teacher, and she said because nobody at home available to look after her kid, that's why she decided to bring her kid at school. Yeah, I feel like it's very powerful. It's like her sacrifice to raise kid and teach student at the same time. Yeah, so it's quite unique to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's so exciting to see everyone's work today. It was so powerful. And, one realizes that we really were documenting history. So I just wanted to know what everyone plans on doing with the work that they've made during COVID. Are you guys thinking of putting a book together or a series? What are you thinking of doing with this work? And what's everyone working at the moment?
I am not thinking about it yet, about the book. This didn't really end, so maybe do some more work, covering maybe more hospitals, but yeah, it's hard when you have a day job, not a lot of time, but yeah, doing hospital work, at least for me, and maybe a few personal stories from people. So yeah, that should be the focus for me. Yeah.
Definitely. Wonderful.
Anyone else want to go next? about their future plans now? Or, you
I
know,
would
with the work
just,
that they have produced?
yeah, sorry. I would just agree
Yes,
with
Daniyar.
Philip that I haven't think about this. So it's also like, you know, when you have this everyday job, it's kind of difficult, but yeah, maybe in the future something. But I don't know about the book. We'll see.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. The everyday job is probably you don't have enough space in your head to think about what's going to happen next. But it'll be great to have a series about it, to have more stories like this. I don't know, it's pretty convulsing politically in politics now in my country. It's been pretty convulsive now. So probably sometimes we just keep an eyes on that, but I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Anyone else wants to go next? Does anyone else have a question? Anyone in the audience?
I think everyone is just thinking about going to pack right now, right? So because we're gonna see each other on Sunday.
Yeah, so soon. I'm so excited to meet you all in person. I can't believe
Looking
it's
forward.
3 days from
Looking
now.
forward to see everyone.
Maybe I'll be coming on Monday because I up to now haven't received my tickets and I haven't made any plan because I don't know. I'm at the embassy here waiting. The lady who was in charge gave me an appointment for like 2, and later she said 3, and now she said 3:30.
We really hope you finally get your visa and your passport. And I think really we are all looking forward to meeting in the next few days. And I'm also looking forward to, now that you're talking about that, we are all talking about what to do with the work that we've produced. Also still looking forward to what we can all then jointly do together as this community of photojournalists that we have created. Back to you, Saina, for your final remarks.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your work. It was really, really powerful, and really looking forward to seeing you all in just 3 days.
All righty, I think there's a comment there from someone named Pam saying this would make an extraordinary traveling exhibit, perhaps something the Smithsonian can take on. Wishing everyone well. So colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, today's Global Moment Gallery exhibition marks the 11th since we started the Bridge program after the virtual Beat Over program in the fall of 2021. So far, we have had 44 of us sharing their incredible work of documenting the pandemic in their different parts of the world. What's become continually clear is the fact that although we may be far apart, we share a lot in common. During the pandemic and through your images, it is clear that humanity wins in the face of the harshest conditions. Through every click, you showed what happened in your part of the world and shared stories of resilience and hope, even in the face of a global pandemic. The importance of your work cannot be overemphasized. Now, the Bridge program has come to an end. We have used the program to connect, share, and learn for a year now. I look forward with hope to meeting each and every one of you in person so that we can continue the conversations, exchange from our rich cultures, and build networks that will help us collaborate in the future to create works of global reach, tell impactful story. So see you all next week. I also wish to take this opportunity to thank the Bridge builders, Brittany and Bonnie, and the bigger team that ran the Bridge programs, the United States Department of State and the US government through their embassies in our respective countries for supporting us throughout this program and for continuing to organize such IVLP programs. May you continue doing so. I also wish to recognize and appreciate all our friends and family members who joined the different Bridge programs to support our work. Thank you all so much for making this fun and exciting. I look forward to meeting all of you in person and to seeing the photo book with all the unique stories captured through your eyes. I believe this is the beginning of something big and transformative. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making today's session powerful. And I want to take this over to Brittany and Bonnie.
Oh, Emmanuel, you touch my heart all of you touch my heart in a way you can't imagine. I would like to, for those of you in the audience, maybe as a way of a little bit of feedback, throw something into chat. How do you feel? For those of you that have followed with us and followed a lot of these presentations, throw a word or two in there to explain to the presenters, to the participants, how these sessions have made you feel. I know it is just such an honor, and it just opens my heart like I can't even explain. Britt?
As your words are coming in, we'll give a great big thank you for everyone who's joined. It has just been such a wonderful grand finale. And we're so pleased that our presenters were able to show their worlds, and Saina and Emmanuel were able to guide us through that. And Emmanuel actually was our first moderator, and we're so happy now he put the bow on the final Global Moment Gallery. I'm seeing words of it's surreal, I'm in awe, can't wait to meet everyone in person, inspired, impactful, heart-piercing, lots of thanks, appreciation, wonderful, wonderful words. For everyone else who's joining us, thank you for coming, and we're so happy to have you here.